Bob just bought the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, no one can actually buy an international strait, but given everything happening in the world right now, let's imagine Bob somehow did. Not a tanker, not an oil company. An entire maritime passage between Iran and Oman. His business plan is simple. $1 from every barrel of oil that passes through the strait. Under normal conditions, about 20 million barrels move through here every day. $20 million a day. Multiply that by 365, over $7.3 billion a year. Read that again. 7.3 billion. Bob doesn't extract oil. He doesn't build refineries. He doesn't hire drillers. He just collects $1 from every barrel that floats past him. It's like buying a toll bridge with no free alternate route nearby. The oil moving through this choke point equals roughly a fifth of global petroleum liquids consumption and more than a quarter of all seaborne oil trade. Bob smiles. It looks like he just found the easiest business model in the world, but Bob didn't buy a patch of water. He bought a promise that one of the planet's most critical trade routes will operate 24 hours a day, and before he can pocket a single dollar of profit, he has to pay for the entire machine that keeps the strait moving. Part 1. The $7.3 billion toll gate. At its narrowest point, the strait is about 21 miles wide. Sounds spacious, but tankers move through two shipping lanes only about 2 miles wide each, separated by a 2-mile buffer. Bob didn't really buy 21 miles of open ocean. He bought two narrow corridors carrying floating warehouses filled with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of oil. One large tanker can carry about 2 million barrels, so one fully loaded tanker pays Bob roughly $2 million for a single transit, $2 million, from one ship. But now he needs to know which vessel is approaching, who owns it, how much oil it carries, and when it is safe to enter. One security guard with a cash register in the middle of the sea won't cut it. Bob needs an air traffic control tower for tankers, radars, AIS tracking, around-the-clock dispatchers, patrol boats, tugboats, emergency crews, and people working at 3 in the morning when a tanker carrying hundreds of millions of dollars suddenly vanishes from the screen. The toll gate turns out not to be a toll gate at all. It's an infrastructure company. To estimate the cost, Bob looks at the Panama Canal. In fiscal year 2024, the Panama Canal generated $4.99 billion in revenue and $3.45 billion in net profit. Nearly 31 cents of every revenue dollar never reached the profit line. Bob applies the same ratio. 31% of $7.3 billion is roughly $2.3 billion. That leaves about $5 billion on the scoreboard. $5 billion. He thinks the worst is behind him. It isn't. The Panama Canal isn't surrounded by missiles, naval mines, and rival military fleets. Hormuz comes with another bill. Part 2. Bob's $7.2 billion mistake. Customers are not paying Bob $2 million just to enter a shipping lane. They expect a $100 million tanker carrying another $140 million worth of oil not to hit a mine, get hijacked, or become an easy target. So Bob builds his own navy. 6 modern frigates. 2 patrol the strait, 2 cover the approaches, 2 are refueling, undergoing maintenance, or changing crews. 6 armored guards who can never all go to lunch at once. The annual operating cost of one such frigate is about $130 million. 6 ships cost $780 million every year. Bob had $5 billion on the scoreboard. Now he is down to roughly $4.2 billion. There it is, his actual profit. Then the accountant places another bill in front of him. Bob calculated the cost of running the fleet. He forgot the cost of buying it. One new frigate costs about $1.2 billion. 6 ships cost $7.2 billion. Bob stopped smiling. His first year just flipped from plus $4.2 billion to minus $3 billion in cash flow. Read that again. Bob collects $20 million a day and still needs a loan. Bob thought he was buying a money printer. Turns out, Bob has to buy the printer first, and the printer costs more than all the paper it prints in year 1. In a calm, mature year, the fleet is already paid for, and Bob keeps about $4.2 billion before taxes, debt payments, and major accidents. But first, he has to survive the $7.2 billion bill. Part 3. One bad day. In March 2021, a container ship ran aground in the Suez Canal. One ship blocked the passage for almost 6 days. Hundreds of vessels piled up. Cargo worth roughly $51 billion could not move on schedule. After the ship was freed, the Canal Authority demanded $16 million in compensation. It later lowered the demand to $550 million. The vessel was held until July, while the owners, insurers, and Canal Authority argued over who should pay. 1 accident, 6 days of blockage, more than 100 days of legal conflict. One ship cannot block all 21 miles of Hormuz. It doesn't have to. It only has to cripple one of the 2-mile shipping lanes. It's like a truck breaking down across the only exit of a parking garage. There is plenty of room around it. Nobody can leave. Suppose an accident cuts the strait's capacity in half for 6 days. Bob loses $10 million in fees every day, roughly $60 million in 1 week. Then come the tugboats, salvagers, cleanup crews, insurers, the owners of delayed tankers, and lawyers arguing over who is at fault, the captain, Bob's dispatcher, or the navigation system. 1 bad week can easily become a bill worth hundreds of millions. Bob looks at his $1 per barrel fee. Yesterday, it looked genius. Today, it looks like pocket change. And Bob cannot simply say, "That's not my problem." He gets paid precisely to keep it from becoming one. Part 4. The meter never stops. Now oil traffic falls by 20%. Bob loses roughly $1.46 billion in annual revenue, but the radars are still running. Dispatchers are still on shift. Patrol ships are still burning fuel. Crews are still getting paid. Bob's income behaves like a faucet. Traffic falls, and the money flow weakens immediately. His costs behave like a taxi meter. The car can stop. The meter keeps running. This is where the strait stops behaving like a magical toll gate. It starts behaving like an airport, a stadium, a factory, a massive machine that costs millions even on a day when it makes almost nothing. Bob started with $7.3 billion in revenue. Running the strait took about $2.3 billion. The patrol fleet took another $780 million. In a calm, mature year, about $4.2 billion remains before taxes, debt payments, and major accidents. But buying the fleet puts Bob roughly $3 billion in the red in year 1, and 1 bad week can wipe out hundreds of millions more. Bob really did become incredibly wealthy. Every tanker really does pay, but he no longer owns a simple toll gate. He is responsible for every radar, every ship, every delay, every collision, every spilled barrel, and every hour one of the world's most critical oil routes is down. Bob thought he was buying the right to collect a fee. In reality, he bought the obligation to never let the traffic stop. So what should Bob buy next? The Panama Canal? An airport? A power grid? Let me know in the comments.